It's big bottle and little bottle.
Oh, okay. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Unparalleled Universe for another action figure comparison video. And today we're taking a look at the brand new Hasbro Lightning Collection White Ranger, and we're going to see how he compares to the Figuarts White Ranger. So let's jump right into it, starting with the details, the sculpt, and the articulation. Okay, so first off, I'd say that both of these figures do a very good job of capturing the look of the White Ranger from the TV show. And I'm not a Power Rangers expert or anything like that, but it does feel to me like both of these figures have all the little design elements that are accurate to the character, so that's a very good thing. But I will say that the Figuarts one does look sharper and cleaner. The sculpt is nicer. The gold has like a bright type of look to it that is very cool. The white has like a nice pearlescent look to it, and the Hasbro version has like a plastic look, which, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. That's kind of the nature of the beast when we're talking about a $20 figure. But for the most part, the end result is that the Figuarts one looks a lot better, and I just like the way that they did the white, and I like how all the colors are very clean. The sculpt is very clean. You could see that the sculpt on the logo on the two figures, the Figuarts one is just way better. It's deeper, it's sharper, and here it looks okay, but it's like not as deep, and it kind of almost, the details almost kind of get lost in there. But you could see the logo. But just looking at them without a camera zoomed in, the Figuarts one looks so much nicer. And one thing I will say, that on the Hasbro one, for the vest, it's a plastic overlay, so it's the figure with the vest on top of it that's a loose piece that kind of moves around. And that is accurate to the TV show, because that was exactly the case. It was a guy with a suit and a vest. And on the Figuarts version, it kind of feels like it's an armor plate, and it's tighter onto the character, which looks better and stuff like that, but doesn't quite feel as accurate as it would on the TV show, if that makes any sense. But yeah, let's just keep taking a look here. Check out the details on the belt. Again, the sculpt work is just really nice. The gold on the arms look very good, but the gold on the Figuarts version is brighter and a little bit nicer. It's a little dull on the Hasbro version. But still, I don't think the Hasbro version looks bad at all. I'm just saying, I think the Figuarts one is much cleaner and nicer, and the sculpt is tighter, and it just looks really good. Let's take a look at the helmets here. Both helmets look very nice. The helmet on the Figuarts one is a little small. Yeah, I think I like the size of the helmet better on the Hasbro one. But both of them look very good. Again, the gold looks beautiful on the Figuarts one, and the sculpt looks nice. It all looks very nice and clean. The helmet on the Hasbro one has a very nice and clean sculpt too. I think what's making the biggest difference in terms of the looks is the vest. The vest just looks so much nicer on the Figuarts one than it does on the Hasbro one. And I don't think the Hasbro one looks bad or anything, but I just think the Figuarts one really killed it. But one thing I will say is I like what they did with the soft overlay plastic, because you don't have to, it doesn't break up the sculpt when you're trying to articulate the figure. As you can see, it just kind of gets out of the way, and that's very cool. But on the Figuarts one, it does this, and I hate that, because then there's like no natural way to get his arm up unless you go all the way to the side. But if you want his arm to the front, you're going to have that break. So you have to get kind of clever with the posing, you know, maybe have his arm in front of that or something like that. But yeah, I really hate when they do stuff like this. And Figuarts does stuff like that a lot. But in the end, the vest does look very nice. The sculpted details all look very good, and I do like the pearlescent white type of look. Another thing I like a little better on the Figuarts one is the way they did the sword sheath. This is actually like an articulated piece that moves around. It does come off super easy though, so that kind of sucks, but it just plugs right into the belt, and you have some options as far as that goes. As you can see, it keeps falling out. But I still think that's pretty cool. On the Hasbro one, it's just a soft piece of plastic, and you don't have to worry about it falling off, but you don't have many options. It's set there, it's not moving anywhere, but it is soft plastic, so you know, it is what it is. I just think the Figuarts one is a little bit better in terms of the little belt sheath. One thing I thought was kind of strange on the Figuarts one is that the elbow joint looks really ugly, especially when compared to the Hasbro one, which is pretty clean and streamlined. Look at this joint looks bad, especially when everything else looks so smooth and nice, you know, so that kind of stands out. And Hasbro does not have that problem at all. So I would say, in terms of like the overall look and design, the Figuarts one is better, as to be expected, because it is an import figure. They're a little bit more expensive, so you know, it's no surprise that it looks nicer. But for the articulation, oh my god, the Hasbro one kills it, and that was the big surprise to me. So let's get into that. So first off, the big disappointing thing when it comes to the articulation on the Figuarts one is that his torso is basically useless. What the heck? That was a huge surprise to me, and I don't know if it's just this figure or if they're all like that, but that is crazy. Oh, got a little bit more movement, but yeah, that's so weird. I can't believe how little it moves. That's about as far as I could get it to bend. The Hasbro one, look at that, it crunches like all the way down. So that's cool. Then you have this joint that, you know, I love so much. This is awesome here. You could get him in much more dynamic poses than you can with the Figuarts one. The Figuarts one just kind of has to stand there. And even for the joints that it does have, like the double jointed elbows, he has double jointed elbows, but they don't seem to articulate well because that joint there is so long, or the elbow joint is so long, so it doesn't feel like the top piece moves naturally. I really had to mess with this to try to get it to even bend that much. The Hasbro one just bends, you know, like a regular double jointed elbow. And it bends all the way up, so that's very cool. I don't think we're going to get that here. Let's see with the knees here. The knees are fine on the Figuarts one. You know, they're pretty equal there. Let's see here. Then you have the, it doesn't really have the upper thigh swivel, but it does have the drop down hip. I mean, it has the upper thigh swivel, but it's way up into the thigh there. So it's kind of, you know, it's risky with this kind of joint because when you're trying to spin it, it's kind of tough to get that upper thigh swivel. And the Hasbro one has the, you know, the full swivel here. Sorry, it's in the way. Yeah, see? It's got like the full upper thigh swivel, has a lower leg boot cut. No lower leg boot cut on the Figuarts one, but you do have the spinning foot there, so that's where you're going to get that movement anyways. And let's see what else we have going on here. For the head, both heads could look pretty far up, so that's pretty good. I think the main difference in the articulation is that torso area. And that's a big difference, especially when it comes to a Power Rangers figure, because you're going to want to get them into really cool fighting poses and things like that. And if you can't get much movement out of the torso, it's going to feel like you can't get them into good fighting poses. You do have the option to twist here, so, you know, you could get something out of it. So that was a really big surprise to me. So as far as articulation goes, I'd say that the Hasbro one dominates. Okay, so now on to the accessories, starting with the Saba Saber. So I will say that I think both companies did a really good job with it. I want to say that I like the Figuarts one a little bit more, mostly because of this. Check this out. You could remove the blade, and then you could insert this longer extended blade, and I think that's a really cool touch. The blade itself has like a metallic type of look to it. The Hasbro one does too, but not as metallic. Kind of has a more plastic type of look to it, of course, but yeah, other than that, the blades are pretty equal. I just like the fact that you could interchange them, and I guess I'll say that the handle on the Figuarts one looks slightly better too, because they put a little bit of paint apps in there, and that's really not the case here with the Hasbro one. I mean, there's some paint, but I really wish they would have painted the eyes. I think that would have gone a long way. I guess, I mean, other than that, I guess these are pretty equal. I just wish the eyes were painted on the Hasbro one. But the interchangeable blade aspect definitely makes it so I like the Figuarts blade a little bit more. And both figures do come with interchangeable hands. The Figuarts one comes with 3 different sets, and the Hasbro one does come with 2 different sets. So, you know, obviously it's cooler to have more interchangeable hands than less. But the Hasbro one does come with a really cool energy effect, and the Figuarts doesn't come with anything like this. So it would have been cool if they did include something like that. And now on to the final accessory, and that would be the unmasked head sculpts, and both figures come with them. And surprisingly, I think that the Hasbro one looks a lot more like the actor than the Figuarts one does. The Figuarts one has like that photorealism effect to it, but it doesn't look like the actor to me. It looks very strange. I do kind of like the hairstyle a little bit more on the Figuarts one because, you know, ponytails kind of look goofy. But for the most part, I think that the Hasbro one is more accurate than the Figuarts one. It looks like the actor to me. I don't know, especially when he was younger, around the time that they were airing this Power Rangers show. And the Figuarts one just looks like a generic face to me. I don't know. It doesn't look very good. I'm not sure what they were going for. Maybe they were going for more like a comic book look or something. I don't know. I guess if they were going for that, maybe it's in there. But as far as trying to portray the actor, I think that the Hasbro one wins by a lot, actually. And if anyone's curious, here's a look at the Figuarts version with the Hasbro head on it. And it's a little big. It doesn't really pop on. It's just kind of sitting on here. You'd have to put some tack or something like that. But I mean, it kind of looks decent, and you do not have that option at all when it comes to putting the Figuarts one onto the Hasbro one. So that falls right off. Big old ball joint. So yeah, but if you want to throw the Hasbro one onto the Figuarts one, you might have some options. Maybe you have to bring it up a little bit and it won't look so big, you know, something. But it looks okay. When it comes to scale, it's really a matter of preference because the Figuarts one is a little bit smaller because it's an import figure, and typically import figures are considered to be true 6-inch scale, and that runs smaller than American 6-inch figures. So as you can see here, the Figuarts one definitely looks like a teenager standing next to Captain America, and I think that's accurate, but he still feels like a little bit small even for his own scale. But I think if you just consider that they're supposed to be teenagers, you could kind of get away with it. But then on the other hand, the Hasbro one looks like a grown man, so you know, the scale should probably be like somewhere in the middle for your perfect 6-inch Power Ranger figure. But I think as far as what they were going for, both figures look fine, and they both look really cool next to Zed. I will say that the Figuarts one looks a little cooler next to Zed because it makes Zed look a little bit bigger and more intimidating. But still, he still looks that way next to the Hasbro one, but just more so with the Figuarts one. And I don't think that Figuarts made any villains for Power Rangers, so it's kind of hard to know exactly how they scale and if they scale correctly. Okay, so now for the quick recap. As far as the overall sculpt, design, and look and feel of the figure, I'm going to give it to the Figuarts. That's a beautiful looking figure. I like all the paint work. The sculpting is very nice and crisp. The golds are very shiny. The white has that pearlescent color that looks really good. The Hasbro one looks more like a toy, more like a plastic type of feel to it, but the sculpting work is there. It's very accurate to the look of the character from the TV show, and that's the case for both of these figures. But I'd say just in general, the Figuarts one looks nicer. And then as far as articulation goes, the Hasbro one wins by a landslide. It has more articulation, and even the articulation points that they share between the two, they're more useful on the Hasbro version. But on top of that, the Hasbro version has more points that just make it a lot more fun to pose and play with. And then for the accessories, I'd say they're both evenly matched. They both have some things that the other one doesn't. The Figuarts one has multiple hands, and I wish the Hasbro one did. But to make up for it, it has that really cool energy effect. And then on top of that, it has a better looking unmasked Tommy head. So I'm going to say for accessories, they're pretty even. And then as far as the scale goes, again, it's really a matter of preference, whatever you prefer. If you like your 6-inch figures to be a little bit smaller, then you're going to go with the Figuarts, and if you just want like regular 6-inch American 6-inch figures, then the Hasbro one is obviously the one to go with. So for me, if I had to choose one of these, I think I would go with the Hasbro version. And I'm not going to say that the Hasbro version is a better figure than the Figuarts one, but it just appeals to me more because the strengths of that figure are more to my liking. And if you want just a cool looking figure that you could stand on your shelf with other Power Rangers, the Figuarts one is probably the one to go with. But if you want something that's going to be more fun to play with and photograph and, you know, manipulate and just, you know, explore the articulation and have fun with it, then the Hasbro one is going to be the one to go with, and that's in tune with what I look for in an action figure. And as far as the price for these figures go, the Hasbro one will cost you about $20 at the store, and they're popping up right now. Hopefully this figure sticks around long enough for people to pick it up, for everyone out there that wants it, and it doesn't go up in price. And then for the Figuarts one, I really don't see it going up in price. Right now it's about $40 on Amazon. I'm not sure what the retail price was, but I'd imagine it's about $60. It's a Figuarts figure, so they're more expensive, and they, like I said, it has a higher quality feel to it, so that kind of justifies the price. And $60, it's expensive, but it's not like unreasonable. I'd say that both of these figures are pretty reasonably priced. And one more thing I want to mention with Hasbro, they seem to be more invested in the line because just with the first wave of figures, they gave us Power Rangers characters from all kinds of different shows. So it seems like they're really going to try to build a universe with the Power Rangers stuff. And with the Figuarts stuff, I don't even know if they make Power Rangers anymore. I feel like I haven't seen one since probably like last year when they had a couple of Power Rangers as exclusives at Comic-Con. That's the last thing I think I've heard from Figuarts for Power Rangers. But, you know, maybe I wasn't really paying attention. But it just feels to me that Hasbro is more invested in it. Kind of like the Ninja Turtle situation. I'm not going to say that Figuarts abandoned Power Rangers or anything, but it just seems like Hasbro is going to go further with it and be more adventurous with their character selection. So I think that's pretty exciting too, and that's kind of easy to get behind. So that's another reason why I'm leaning towards Hasbro. There's more of like a future with it. And before I get out of here, I want to send a thank you to my boy Astro Ender for letting me borrow this SH Figuarts White Ranger. He's always hooking me up with figures for these comparison videos, and I really appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. And I'll be sure to leave a link to his YouTube and Instagram in my description below, so be sure to check that out. Thanks again, man. But anyways, I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and if you're interested in buying these two figures, I will have Amazon links in the description below, so be sure to check that out if you want to go find these for a good price. But yeah, anyways, thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff, and that's it. Peace.
That's crispy.